So tonight I felt kind of frisky, you know? And I'm not saying that because of the fucking freezing temperature in mid-June we're experiencing, but I wanted to watch something adult. This was not what I meant. Today we are talking about Piggy Palace, a film directed by Sam Hell in 2022 and distributed by his company Club Disgust, which are usually in the category of very experimental and very adult. And this one did not disappoint in both of those aspects. She's still doing okay, by the way. Oh. Just like the Club Disgust films that came before this one, the plot is very thin. It is explained to us in a text. We are following a group of adult filmmakers who want to make a series of film based on Robert Pickton. For those uninitiated, Robert Pickton was a Canadian serial killer and also a great example that I like to use when people tell me that Canadians are nice. You know, there was Robert Pickton, the military general who choked women to death and then wore their underwear, Carla Molka and Paul Bernardo, of course, the guy in Toronto that chopped somebody's head off on a bus and then got released 2 years after, Luca Magnotta, pretty much every hockey player. And you're probably wondering, how are these filmmakers gonna make adult films based on Robert Pickton? Well, there's just a lot of pig imagery and sound. We then cut to an interview with the director, and he just looks like your typical mosh pit enthusiast. And or rock and roll Jesus. It's up to you. We then get our first segment of adult stuff, and I'll try to be as PG as possible, YouTube, okay? I'll describe it like a good Christian boy. So we start with a close-up on this bare ass. I'm doing a terrible job already. We get to see the behind of a woman, and that woman is Agatha Delicious. No relations to Agatha Christie, and she is wearing a pig mask because, you know, there's still a pandemic. This woman is clearly in need of financial help too because she can't afford clothes. She then proceeds to take out this very phallic object with a piggy tail at the end and shove it up her fart box. Not doing great. And then this young lady keeps pleasuring herself until she takes out something that looks very dangerous. It's this crooked farm tool, and then that goes into her womanhood. Until there's a red liquid that starts leaking, and I hope that's not corn-based fake blood because that's very bad for future infections. Anyway, she keeps playing with herself until some sort of a liquid that I'm unfamiliar with comes out of her coochie. And I guess the director is really a Stanley Kubrick type and he's not happy with her performance. So he decides to cut her head off like they do in a slaughterhouse. And is this symbolism? I don't know. The second segment then begins. It stars Maddie Collins and she plays a different role than she usually does. She's not somebody's stepsister. Not that I'm familiar with her previous work. And she's also not able to afford clothes because she starts completely naked. And then she takes out this very large blue object that I'm unfamiliar with, but she seems to like it. She puts it up places and then starts slapping herself. I don't know why she's punishing herself. I guess she was a very bad girl, but she keeps on doing it. And then she takes out paint and starts body painting herself, and I really have to applaud the creativity. And then she takes out a box cutter, which I was taken back with because there were no boxes visible in this scene. And then she starts cutting herself, which I have to remind you guys, self-harm is a big no-no. Okay, YouTube, I'm not advocating self-harm. And then she commits seppuku, and the film ends. So, how did you guys enjoy my review after my first community strike? Yeah, sorry, I can't go into too much details, and I try to be as PG-13 as I can be. So, what did I think of Piggy Palace? Well, I really enjoyed it. For people that are not very familiar with Sam Hell's previous work, you're probably wondering, that didn't sound like a lot. And no, the plot is very simple, like I said, and it's mostly just an adult film that takes a very dark turn. However, the goodness of this film is not really in its plot, it's a audio-visual experience. These films are just hard to sell with words, and you just really have to either take my word on it or watch them for yourself and make up your own goddamn mind. The music is very good, it's this very industrial, and there's a lot of sound effects of pigs that really add up to the atmosphere of the film. And again, Sam Hell's just really good behind the camera. The visuals are striking. And for a change of scenery, it's not shot in a motel room. There's actual set design. which I appreciate, and beautiful women naked touching themselves is always a plus in my book.